Though Final Fantasy XVI is in development for the PC, the game is also slated to receive 2 premium expansion packs to accommodate fans who want for more chapters of Clive's adventures in Valisthea. Final Fantasy XVI set a high bar for the franchise, as it received widespread popular acclaim, with players citing its mature themes, phenomenal boss fights, action-oriented combat, and a return to Final Fantasy's medieval roots as the main positives. Square Enix is pleased with Final Fantasy XVI sales, as the game emerged to be one of the best-selling titles in a year already stacked with major releases. Though a PC version was practically inevitable, the game's producer Naoki Yoshida confirmed that fans would know more about the upcoming port by the end of the year. Many Final Fantasy XIV players who play the MMO on the PC are likely interested in trying out Final Fantasy XVI, given Naoki Yoshida's involvement, and thus represent an important part of the audience for Square Enix to tap into. However, in the latest batch of videos, Naoki Yoshida stated that felt fans wanted more from the world of Valisthea and its characters, and revealed that the team was developing at least 2 DLCs for Final Fantasy XVI that will allegedly release on both platforms. It's unknown which content the premium expansions will tackle, whether they will be standalone or part of the base game, but I am hoping for a confrontation with Leviathan in one of the DLCs, as well as more information on Cid's backstory. A new Final Fantasy XVI update had added various skins and more customization options to the game, in addition to fixing bugs and implementing other improvements. Final Fantasy XVI hasn't received too many patches since its launch, but a previously released update added more controller configurations and an option to customize motion blur to the game. Square Enix earlier announced that it will release a new update for Final Fantasy XVI that has an emphasis on the arcade mode available in the title. Update 1.10 for Final Fantasy XVI is now live on PS5, and it makes some notable improvements to the game. As an example, it adds an appearance feature to the game that allows players to change the costumes of Final Fantasy XVI's characters, including Clive, Jill, Torgal, and more. It will let users change the look of their weapon, while also adding an onion sword to the game. There are some gameplay changes included in the new patch, such small enemies being vulnerable to follow-up attacks in the air for an increased duration. Arcade mode in Final Fantasy XVI will see a number of changes, as Square Enix has added a time limit to each stage while also reducing the scores awarded for the rhyme and gouge abilities. This update also adds an option to enable or disable the adaptive triggers of the DualSense controller, in addition to giving players more ways of changing the locked-on target. Finally, Update 1.1 for Final Fantasy XVI will fix some bugs and issues present in the game, such as specific characters' actions not getting triggered correctly, and situations where some weapons could not be crafted in Final Fantasy mode. Overall, this new update comes with a number of useful changes and bug fixes. A PC version of Final Fantasy XVI has been announced to be in development. There was previously no official word on whether the PlayStation 5 exclusive would come to other platforms, but Final Fantasy XVI's eventual arrival on PC has now been confirmed by a producer. Creative Business Unit 3 must have heard fans clamoring for additional content and a PC release because the official Twitter account for Final Fantasy XVI posted a video featuring Yoshi P announcing a host of updates for the game. He concluded the message with confirmation that development on a PC version is ongoing but stopped short of a release date or any specific details, stating that he hopes to provide more information before the end of the year. Supposedly, the DLC began development in response to players wishing to spend more time with Valisthea and its inhabitants, which might be a clue to what their contents will entail. Fans have already been theorizing about potential Final Fantasy XVI DLC since shortly after its launch, and certain requests feel especially likely to bear fruit. Anyone who has reached the later parts of Final Fantasy XVI is familiar with Leviathan the Lost, an oddity in the icon-centric world of Valisthea. This icon of water vanished long ago, and now only rare records document that it even existed. Leviathan is easy to pin as the main subject of one of Final Fantasy XVI's DLC packs, and some fans even suspect they have already seen the Leviathan dominant in the form of the recurring NPC Kihel. Regardless of who or where Leviathan is, players are well justified in anticipating its appearance and moveset for Clive as DLC. While Final Fantasy XVI did avoid some pre-release concerns that there would be no traditional RPG party at all, what's there could be more developed. There is plenty of room for the supporting cast at Cid's hideaway and even the enemy dominance to get both more screen time and story developments. It would probably be best if the DLC took Clive out of the spotlight in favor of FF16's other major players like Jill, Sid, and Joshua. Making some or all of these companions playable in short scenarios like FF15's own DLC would go a long way toward making FF16 more memorable. For a game so occupied with travel and politics, there's still a surprising amount of ground left in Valisthea to explore. Among the major nations, the Iron Kingdom, the Crystalline Dominion, and the Free Cities of Canver all have a single main quest to their name and zero presence in FF16's open fields. Even the blight-covered Northlands that Jill hails from are barely referenced. Retaking her birthplace, and potentially dealing with some fights with restricted icon abilities, could make for an interesting DLC. Alongside the larger paid editions, FF16's DLC could split some of its lesser content between itself and more free updates. More hunts, maps, chronolith trials, and side quests could be part of the DLC, while quality of life improvements like side quest or hunt boards in the pause menu, more fast travel points, and even instant Final Fantasy mode access would preferably come in patches. Perhaps the best thing FF16 DLC could add is a second primary weapon for Clive, which should have its own icon loadout when switched to. This might come too late in Final Fantasy XVI's life to matter, but it and some harder content in the DLC would give diehard fans good reasons to keep playing. While there are still a handful of gaming events left this year, fans of Final Fantasy have cause to anticipate news at the upcoming Tokyo Game Show, running from September 21st to 24th. Founded in 1996, Tokyo Game Show has been a long-standing institution in the industry and has hosted the reveals of many games and announcements. Final Fantasy developer Square Enix is scheduled to take the stage for 2 hours on the night of September 22nd. At its booth, the developer will be showing off Foam Stars, Infinity Strash, Star Ocean The Second Story R, and Final Fantasy XIV. The company's plans for its showcase have only been vaguely detailed, but Final Fantasy XVI could be present. While Square Enix's presentation lineup isn't fully revealed, given the importance of Final Fantasy to the company, it would be surprising not to hear about at least one of the upcoming DLCs for Final Fantasy XVI. Final Fantasy XVI's story has a lot of potential for growth. While there is no guarantee that news about the game's DLC or PC port will be at Tokyo Game Show, it seems very likely that fans of FF16 will receive news about what is next for the game on September 22nd. Regardless, Final Fantasy XVI DLC is on the way, and fans can expect updates before the end of the year. The eagerly awaited Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2 is currently being developed by the Chinese Room. Bloodlines 2 was almost cancelled back in 2021 when Hardsuit Labs was fired by Paradox Interactive, and the project remained mostly silent for 2 years. Just like its predecessor, Bloodlines 2 had a very complicated development. The game was first announced back in 2019 by Paradox and Hardsuit Labs, and it included one of the writers of the first game, Brian Mitsoda. The problem started to appear when the game was delayed and Brian was fired in the following year. Amid even more delays in 2021, Hardsuit Labs was replaced by another developer, which was unknown at the time. Now, Paradox Interactive revealed that the Chinese Room is taking Hardsuit Labs' place in creating Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2. The studio, which is owned by Sumo Digital, has been working on the title since 2021, taking both the story and gameplay in a different direction, while still using some levels and visual assets that were originally made by Hardsuit Labs. Now, instead of controlling a newly turned vampire, players will get to play as an elder, which will awaken in Seattle after sleeping in torpor for a long time, and will need to deal with a completely new reality. According to Ed Daly, the studio director of the Chinese Room, this game is the most ambitious project ever devised by the devs, which brings 15 years of expertise to the project. Before this announcement, there was speculation that Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2 could be released in 2023, as Paradox previously claimed that a release was not impossible within this timeframe. However, now the game is set to be out during fall 2024. The team also confirmed that a gameplay video will be released early in 2024, and it will give gamers more insight into what the final product will look like. Pre-orders were halted when the game was delayed out of 2021, with Paradox now saying they will reopen when a more precise launch date is announced. There will also be a gameplay reveal in January. The Chinese room is known for titles such as Dear Esther, Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs, and Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. These worlds have highly immersive atmosphere back when they were released, so gamers can expect the upcoming Bloodlines 2 to follow in a similar vein. That's good news, as the first Bloodlines was also fairly famous for its dark atmosphere. In any case, we will still need to wait a few more months before they can get solid information regarding the game. Once again, the world's most famous talking turtles are making their way back into the world of video games, this time thanks to Outright Games, promising a title inspired by the recent cinematic hit, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem from Paramount Pictures, Nickelodeon Movies, and Point Grey. The legacy of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise will make a return to the gaming world, thanks to a publisher with extensive experience in delivering high-quality and engaging games. Earlier this year, the famous Turtles made a triumphant return to the big screen in a movie called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, featuring comedic heavyweights like Jackie Chan, Seth Rogen, and John Cena, and also the actress who recently gained popularity through the FX Hulu series The Bear, Ao Edebiri. The TMNT film was warmly received, which undoubtedly played a pivotal role in the creation of this new video game. Since their inception in 1984 by Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman, the beloved Turtles have seen numerous adaptations across various media. According to an official announcement from Outright Games, a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game is in the works, based on the aforementioned recent cinematic success. It's slated to be available on consoles and PC in 2024. The game's storyline will pick up several months after the events of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie, and its graphics will draw inspiration from the captivating and visually artistic style of the film. Of course, it will feature many of the iconic characters from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe. The game will be set in a stylized version of New York City, which, as expected, is facing a new mutant threat. Players will take control of their beloved heroes and can anticipate gameplay with memorable team battles and a narrative infused with the TMNT franchise's trademark humor. Doug Rosen, Senior Vice President of Games and Emerging Media at Paramount, noted that the vibrancy of this new film's animation lends itself perfectly to video games, and we can't wait for everyone to play it. Many iconic and renowned games related to TMNT have been released over the past decades, such as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Hyperstone Heist for the Sega Genesis console in 1992. Therefore, this franchise has demonstrated its potential to deliver enjoyable action games. Revival of this famous beat-em-up game in 2022 called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge once again exceeded fan expectations and thrust the Turtles back into the gaming spotlight. It's no wonder that and fans of the franchise are looking at this news as a sign of another potentially great TMNT game, especially considering the success of the movie that serves as its inspiration. The 2023 reimagining of Alone in the Dark has been hit with a release date delay and will now launch on January 16, 2024 instead of its previously announced October release date. On one hand, October 2023 would have been a perfect month to release Alone in the Dark, as the new horror game would have dropped just in time for Halloween. On the other hand, October is an incredibly packed month when it comes to new game releases. October 2023 is ridiculously busy this year, with multiple new game releases that will all be competing for players' attention. Without going over the entire list of new games releasing in October 2023, just to put things into perspective, there is one day in October that will see the release of both Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Bros. Wonder at the same time. With such big games releasing in October, it makes sense that some titles would want to distance themselves a bit and have more of a fighting chance at securing consumer dollars. This is why the decision was made to delay the new Alone in the Dark game from October 2023 to January 16, 2024. The official tweet also said that this will allow the developers to ensure a breathtaking experience for everyone, which suggests that the extra time could be used to polish the game even further than it would be otherwise, though that's not explicitly stated. In any case, horror game fans will have to wait until January to play the new version of the survival horror classic. Our intention is to avoid competing with the wake of Alan's epic release and to evade the dazzling skyline of cities adorned by the graceful swings of Spider-Man. This extension will serve a dual purpose. Not only will it permit us to meticulously perfect the gaming experience, but it will also grant us the opportunity to fully immerse ourselves in the remarkable releases of October, said the publisher. But while fans will have to wait until January 2024 to play the full version of Alone in the Dark, they can play a small piece of the game right now. Earlier this year, an Alone in the Dark demo was released that serves as a playable prologue for the final product. The demo should give players a taste of what they can expect from the full game when it launches early next year.
Where are you? Hey!
Nintendo Switch May 2nd be closer than previously thought, especially after this year's Gamescom. There have been a few leaks regarding the upcoming console, with the most interesting coming from behind closed doors at Gamescom, where Nintendo allegedly showed developers the Switch 2. The new console is expected to launch next year, but the company has not shared any details on it yet. Switch 2 will come with beefier specifications compared to the original console that launched over 6 years ago, according to leaks. Nintendo rocked the handheld gaming space with its Switch back in March 2017. However, one thing it lacked was raw performance, especially compared to the non-portable consoles from the competition, Sony and Microsoft. Furthermore, in the past couple of years, the handheld gaming market has exploded with the likes of the Steam Deck, Asus ROG Ally, and Ayaneo consoles. Nintendo's fans have been eagerly waiting for a successor to the original Switch. The most recent news regarding the upcoming console comes from Gamescom, where developers got to see a demo of the Switch 2. According to the report, the tech demo was held privately to show how well the console runs. Developers were shown an upgraded version of The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild supposedly running on hardware with the specifications targeted for the Switch 2. This suggests that Nintendo is moving closer to the launch of the Switch 2, which was originally expected in the later part of next year. While it is unclear if Breath of the Wild will be re-released for the next Switch, it does fall in line with previous rumors suggesting backward compatibility for the Switch 2. This means games that have been developed for the original Switch will work on the successor as well, and should perform better. On top of that, another report states that Nintendo showcased the Matrix Awakens Unreal Engine 5 tech demo running on the targeted specifications of the Switch 2 using Nvidia's DLSS upscaling technology. The graphics were said to be on par with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. It should be noted that it is unlikely that the new Switch will have the same raw power as the much bigger and beefier PS5 and Xbox Series X. Rumors surrounding the upcoming console have suggested a late 2024 launch, but the latest reports suggest that it could be that Nintendo is planning on launching the console sooner. Reports from a couple of months ago stated that Nintendo is planning to launch the Switch successor in the second half of 2024, but some key third-party developers have already received dev kits for the Switch 2. Now, with the alleged Gamescom demo, the Switch 2 could arrive in the first half of next year. According to a leak from I'm a Hero 2, who has accurately leaked video game industry news in the past, it seems that the next Nintendo console could be about as powerful as a Xbox Series S. Or at least, it will have strong enough specs to run Final Fantasy VII Remake in a way that it looks and runs like a PS5 game. Apparently, Square Enix has already ported Final Fantasy VII Remake to the Switch 2 dev kit in a process that took no time. It's worth pointing out that Final Fantasy VII Remake was originally released for PS4, so it could be that the Switch 2 specs will be somewhere in between the PS4 and PS5, though that's just speculation at this time. It's also possible that Final Fantasy VII Remake will even be a launch title for the next Nintendo console, but the leaker said that they're not sure if that will happen or not. Like with all leaks, fans should take these claims with a massive grain of salt. But if the information is accurate, it could mean big things for the Switch 2 console. It being able to run Final Fantasy VII Remake, like a PS5 game, suggests a massive leap in power from the Switch. This could open the floodgates for the Switch 2 to get a lot of current generation ports and compete more directly with Sony and Microsoft's newest consoles. But its successor might end up being more future-proof than some might expect, with Universo Nintendo's Felipe Lima now reporting that the Switch 2 will incorporate 12 GB of RAM. The claim is attributed to an anonymous source who attended Nintendo's alleged Switch 2 presentation at the 2023 Gamescom. For context, the Switch has 4 GB of LPDDR4 RAM, while the Xbox Series S boasts 10 GB of significantly faster GDDR6 random access memory. The Series X and PS5 both have 16 GB of the same 6th generation RAM. The newly surfaced rumor does not specify what exact technology the Switch 2 is meant to use, although the GDDR5 RAM found in the PS4 and Xbox One seems like a plausible guess. as Nintendo has yet to skip a dynamic RAM generation. So, while having slightly more RAM than the Xbox Series S could provide the Switch 2 with limited advantages in some edge cases, the fact that its memory will likely be slower should still make Microsoft's consoles more powerful in this respect. For context, GDDR6 RAM offers twice the data rates of its previous generation counterpart, 16 Gbps versus 8 Gbps, and is also more energy efficient. It was previously reported at the closed-door Gamescom exhibit saw Nintendo showcase the Matrix Awakens Unreal Engine 5 tech demo running on the Switch 2. With the main implication being that the new console will use Nvidia's Deep Learning Super Sampling, DLSS, technology to boost frames and upscale graphics. The source of this RAM leak corroborated that claim, albeit noting that the demo used DLSS 3.1 instead of the latest, 3.5 version of the solution launched in early September. The allegation that the Switch 2 will triple the RAM amount of its predecessor is not the first indication that Nintendo's upcoming console will be significantly more future-proof than the company's first hybrid device. One known leaker already suggested as much earlier this week, having hinted that the Switch 2 might have VR and AR capabilities. According to I'm a Hero 2, Nintendo dev kits are already out in the wild, with both Sega and Square Enix having them at their disposal. If the leaked information is accurate, the Switch 2 console is backward compatible with the Switch, uses a new cartridge format, and has a new camera feature. Having such a powerful Switch console could also potentially future-proof the device and ensure that it is supported for many years to come. The Switch has been around for over 6 years at this point, and by the time the next Nintendo console releases, it will likely be over 7 years old. Nintendo could be preparing for its next console to have a similar lifespan, which would be easier accomplished if the device represents a significant power leap from the Switch. Time will tell how accurate any of this information is, but fans should get a clearer picture next year. Also, the price will be interesting to see, if these claims and leaks are true and a fact. But for those still rocking the original, Nintendo has quite a few new titles coming this year and early next year, like Super Mario Bros. Wonder, a Super Mario RPG remake, and a new WarioWare. Super Mario Bros. Wonder releases on October 20th, while the Super Mario RPG remake is planned for mid-November. WarioWare Move It is coming out on November 3rd. As anyone familiar with computer gaming can attest, Nvidia is responsible for some of the finest graphics cards available and are well known for innovative and proprietary technology. Technological breakthroughs and advancing technology can give players a much-needed advantage. With the latest generation of Nvidia's proprietary DLSS 3.5, Deep Learning Super Sampling, technology powered by AI becoming available soon, this fall holds much in store for game developers and gamers. Initially introduced in 2018 and used only on the Nvidia RTX product line of graphics cards, DLSS allows gamers to upscale and enhance their overall image quality. This effect is primarily achieved by trading increased performance levels for lower resolution, which is then used to extrapolate a higher quality of rendered image without running a game with more extraordinary resolution settings. Players should note that the success of such technology may require some trial and error on the part of the gamer, but it can lead to significant improvements in graphics card performance. Having gone through DLSS 1, 2, and 3 over the last 5 years, DLSS 3.5 will provide gamers with ray reconstruction. This brand new technology helps apps and games with significant levels of ray tracing to create high-quality images and an overall seamless visual experience consistently. As opposed to older denoiser technology which required hand training to successfully remove visual artifacts and other means of eliminating unwanted noise from images, DLSS 3.5's ray reconstruction installs a more efficient network of neural renderers powered by AI with over 5 times the level of training possessed by DLSS 3 and under much harsher conditions, like images which have been rendered offline. Nvidia is a company that prides itself on providing players with some of the best technology available. Still, the company also believes in building on past achievements and combining them for maximum advantage. Frame generation is the more recent of said achievements and, when implemented correctly, can effectively double the frame rate of gameplay by inserting AI-created image frames between pre-rendered ones to enhance the visual experience. As the name implies, Super Resolution helps gamers enjoy improved resolution by creating up to 4 times the original number of pixels and doubling the vertical and horizontal resolution lines. This can be especially useful when attempting to make out unclear details when zooming in. According to the testing data recently released by Nvidia itself, Cyberpunk 2077 players experienced 5 times the traditional frame rates compared to not having 4K DLSS enabled. Not only will developers be delighted to learn Chaos Vantage, DS Render, and Omniverse platform will be getting DLSS 3.5 this fall, but gamers can also enjoy the same technology on titles including Alan Wake 2, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, and Portal with RTX coming soon this fall. Valve's Half-Life 2 is getting remastered with new ray tracing features from Nvidia and updated graphics developed by a talented modding team. Half-Life 2 will reach its 20th anniversary in 2024, and the new remaster appears to celebrate the occasion with major improvements and features supported by modern gaming PCs. Half-Life 2 originally released in November 2004 on PC and quickly became one of the most acclaimed titles on the platform. 1 year later, Half-Life 2 would release on the original Xbox, introducing many console players to the iconic first-person shooter franchise. The title would be re-released on several platforms, including Mac and Android devices, and receive episode sequels in the form of Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Half-Life 2 Episode 2. A prequel titled Half-Life Alyx would release in 2020, bringing the franchise into the VR space for the first time. Nvidia has revealed Half-Life 2 RTX, an RTX remix project, a new remaster developed by 4 community mod teams that have partnered to form Orbifold Studios. The remaster will utilize the latest version of Nvidia's RTX remix technology, which was also used to develop Portal with RTX and Portal Prelude. Orbifold Studios is rebuilding almost every asset of Half-Life 2 in the new remaster with physically based rendering, PBR, properties, Valve's Hammer Editor, and several other Nvidia technologies. As a result, fans can expect a slew of features that weren't in the original release such as full ray tracing, DLSS 3, Reflex, and RTX I/O. A new trailer was released to highlight the remaster's improvements and its many RTX-related features. According to Nvidia, the remaster's world and textures will have nearly 8 times more pixels than the original Half-Life 2 game. Additionally, players can expect a great increase in geometric details while playing Half-Life 2 RTX. Since ray tracing will be implemented in the remaster, lighting and shadows have been improved tremendously as well. Half-Life 2 RTX is currently in early development, so Nvidia and Orbifold Studios did not share a release date. However, the developers confirm that they're still hiring modders and 3D artists for the project, and more details will be revealed at a later date. Since the remaster uses DLSS 3 and the latest RTX technology, Half-Life 2 fans will likely need a RTX 40 series graphics card to support most of the remaster's features. The new features are also CPU intensive, so players must have a CPU that performs admirably in the latest PC games as well. Running Half-Life 2 RTX may require an expensive PC, but the stunning graphical updates and improvements may be worth the price for longtime fans who have desired a remake of Half-Life 2. Still no Half-Life 3, nothing in sight. Epic Games has announced that Unreal Engine 5.3 is finally available to download by the public. Epic Games has been hard at work in perfecting its renowned game engine and real-time 3D creation tool, pushing update after update that continue to expand the engine's capabilities and functionality. First shipped in April 2022, Unreal Engine 5 has been building quite the hype among game developers and filmmakers. In just under 2 years, there's already a long list of games being developed with Unreal Engine 5, including hotly anticipated titles such as Tekken 8 and Black Myth Wukong. A few Unreal Engine 5 games have also been released in 2023, with Immortals of Avium being one of the most notable examples. In its latest iteration, Unreal Engine 5 brings many improvements to readily available features as well as new, experimental features. Nanite and Lumen, 2 of the most notable features of Unreal Engine 5, are being refined even further in the 5.3 update. According to Epic Games, Nanite now delivers faster performance for masked materials, including foliage, and can represent a greater range of surfaces. On the other hand, Lumen with the help of hardware ray tracing now has expanded capabilities, such as multiple reflection bounces and better performance on consoles. Beyond the updated core toolsets, Unreal Engine 5.3 also introduces various experimental features that Epic is expecting to further develop in future releases. These include sparse volume textures, SVT, and path tracing of heterogeneous volumes for cinematic quality volumetric rendering, as well as orthographic rendering that is useful for providing a stylistic camera perspective. Developers can also make use of a new skeletal editor for better animation in Unreal Engine 5, not to mention an improved cloth simulation feature. For filmmakers that are planning to include Unreal Engine in their workflow, this new update has some cool additions such as CineCam Rig Rail Actor and enhancements to the VCam feature. The former allows emulation of the workflow and results of traditional camera movement along tracks or on dollies, while the latter enables faster iteration through the use of iPad in reviewing takes. Unreal Engine 5.3 also lets filmmaker capture fast-moving action more easily by recording at a slower frame rate. Given that Unreal Engine 5.3 has just been released, it might take some time before players can see games utilizing some of the highlighted features. Regardless, the latest version of Unreal Engine 5 is now ready to be put to work via the Epic Games launcher. A possible leak for Grand Theft Auto May 6 reveal the reveal and release date plans for the highly anticipated open-world game, but fans should definitely treat these claims with a massive grain of salt. Grand Theft Auto 6 is currently without a release date, and in fact, the game has yet to be shown off to the public in any official capacity. Rockstar Games has confirmed that Grand Theft Auto 6 is in development, but has stopped short of providing any additional information. While Rockstar has yet to provide any additional info on Grand Theft Auto 6, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick has hinted at when fans might be able to expect the game. On multiple occasions, Zelnick has suggested that Rockstar parent company Take-Two's fiscal year 25 is going to be massive. While far from an outright confirmation, this does seem to indicate that the Grand Theft Auto 6 release date will be somewhere in the April 2024 to March 2025 window. That seems like a realistic possibility, but in the meantime, a new apparent leak has been making the rounds online that could provide fans with more specifics, assuming there's any truth to it at all. What is purported to be a leaked voice memo from Strauss Zelnick seems to have the CEO stating that Grand Theft Auto 6 will be revealed in October 2023, with the game launching in October 2024. However, there is good reason to believe that this leaked Zelnick audio is fake. Many have accused the audio clip of being AI-generated, pointing to the fact that Zelnick pronounces the Roman numeral 6 as VI instead of 6. Beyond that, it wouldn't make much sense for Zelnick to be talking about this information in the manner that he does in the audio. Some have been misinterpreting the October 23rd and 24th claims, believing that the audio clip is suggesting that the Grand Theft Auto 6 announcement will happen on October 23rd with the game launching October 24th of next year, though the intention, whether the audio is real or not, is clearly that the game would be announced in October 2023 with the release happening in October 2024. The supposedly leaked audio has seemingly been hit with copyright strikes and pulled from the web, but it's possible that is part of the hoax to make fans believe that the leak is legitimate. Luckily, GTA fans don't have to wait too much longer to find out if there's any truth to the latest claims. If the leak is real, then the Grand Theft Auto 6 reveal will be happening next month. Grand Theft Auto 6 has been in development for nearly a decade at this point, according to some newly leaked information which also mentions not one but two Bully games. This bit of unofficial insight into Rockstar's past and present projects arrives mere days after Take-Two's financial report hinted at a possible release window for GTA 6. While Rockstar's development cycles have gotten exceedingly long over the years, the company has never been one to rest on its laurels when it comes to Grand Theft Auto games. GTA 5 hence started development circa 2008, not long after the fourth numbered entry in the series released. Similarly, the pre-production on GTA 4 began in November 2004, just as GTA San Andreas hit the market. GTA 6 has apparently followed a similar pattern, as suggested by a recently spotted LinkedIn profile of former Rockstar research video editor John Young. The industry veteran revealed that he worked on Grand Theft Auto 6 over a 3-year period ending in 2018, when he left the company after a 13-year stint. That tidbit indicates that the upcoming game started development no later than 2015, possibly around spring, when Rockstar released the highly coveted PC port of GTA 5. Young also wrote that he was involved in the development of two Bully sequels in 2008. The fact that Bully 2 was once in the works and subsequently cancelled is widely known nowadays, but the ex-Rockstar staffer is the first person to ever suggested that Bully 3 was also on the cards once upon a time. Seeing how Young's job description at Rockstar revolved around producing, internal journalism, and handling location shoots used to inform and support the work of other departments, it would appear that the video editor was involved in the company's projects from their earliest stages of pre-production. And though there's no indication that Bully 3 ever left that development phase, Bully 2 was allegedly well underway by the time it was cancelled circa 2010, with past insider reports suggesting that Rockstar New England managed to complete at least 6 hours of playable content before the project was scrapped. As for the next Grand Theft Auto installment, this newly unearthed insight seemingly confirms that GTA 6 has already been in development for almost twice as long as its predecessor. The wait for the much-anticipated game could now finally be nearing its end, as one credible leaker recently claimed that GTA 6 is targeting a holiday 2024 release. Speaking of Rockstar Games, after serving Rockstar Games for 16 years, the writing director behind the renowned Red Dead Redemption franchise, Michael Unsworth, has left the company. The series has been in the spotlight lately due to the recent PS4 and Nintendo Switch ports for the original Red Dead Redemption and the ensuing backlash from the community over its price. Now, as fans hold out hope for the franchise's future, the departure of a Red Dead Redemption veteran may pose a challenge for the studio. Rockstar Games co-founder Dan Houser left back in 2020, a little over 2 decades after founding the company with his brother Sam Houser. Later, Dan went on to set up a new operation and even invested in blockchain games studio Revolving Games. Incidentally, Dan was only one of 3 writers who contributed to both Red Dead Redemption games writing. The latest departure announcement would mean that Rockstar has lost another one of its longtime creative forces. Michael Unsworth's updated LinkedIn profile which indicated he has left Rockstar Games. Michael, who had been part of the company for over 16 years, was a notable figure behind the writing of both Red Dead Redemption games. He has been part of nearly every popular Rockstar title, including writing credits for L.A. Noire, Max Payne 3, GTA 4 and GTA 5. As of now, neither Rockstar Games nor Michael have released any official statement about the departure. But Red Dead Redemption isn't the only franchise that has seen high-profile departures. In the same year as Dan Houser's exit, GTA writer Laszlo Jones left Rockstar Games after nearly 20 years working in the company. Among Laszlo's most notable contributions include producing dialogue for GTA's characters and radio stations. He was also known for his appearance as a radio host for most of the series under the same name. Incidentally, Michael's exit comes at an interesting time for the studio as Rockstar prepares to release GTA 6 alongside rumors of a brand new game in development. While high-profile departures from veteran gaming studios aren't anything new, the few departures in the form of Laszlo Jones, Dan Houser, and now, Michael Unsworth could prove tricky for the studio in the years to come. Either way, it will be interesting to see how things will pan out for the studio. A key part of the Fortnite developer team and Epic Games' chief creative officer is retiring. Donald Mustard has been a part of Epic Games since 2008 when the studio he founded, Chair Entertainment, was acquired. In 2016, Mustard stepped into the role of chief creative officer at Epic Games and helped guide Fortnite's launch and growth. But now Mustard is ready to move on from the role. Donald Mustard helped found Chair Entertainment in 2005 and served as creative director for the studio's many successes. Chair's games include Undertow, Shadow Complex, and a trilogy of Infinity Blade games developed for mobile devices. As noted, Chair was acquired by Epic Games in 2008, but Mustard didn't step into his chief creative officer role until 2016. His time since has largely been dedicated to Fortnite, though he's also overseen the release of the VR shooter Robo Recall and Chair's Battle Breakers. In an announcement made on Twitter, Mustard confirmed that after 25 years in the video game industry he decided to retire from his role at Epic Games. He mentioned how proud he is of the work he's done both at Chair and at Epic Games, working with some of the most talented people ever. He points to Fortnite specifically, mentioning how he helped create and shape the Battle Royale since it launched in 2017. Mustard specifically says he's retiring from his role at Epic Games and not from game development entirely. However, he makes no mention of future game development plans. He says that he's excited to spend time with his family, which could be indicative of full retirement. There's still an ambiguity that leaves room for plans to return to the game industry down the line. What this means for the future of Fortnite isn't clear, but Mustard teases some exciting plans as part of his goodbye. He says that the Fortnite development team is working on huge, jaw-dropping, amazing things. There's no mention of who might become Epic Games' next chief creative director or who will oversee creative direction on Fortnite. To say that Mustard has left his mark on the video game industry would be an understatement. He's been chief creative officer over the biggest game release of its time. The ways that Fortnite has changed the industry, both through gameplay and content delivery, are difficult to define. Even if I don't like these type of games, I can't deny the impact it had on the industry. Embracer Group has published its financial results for Q1, showing growth in net sales in all but one operating segment, for the period ending June 30, 2023. Net sales was 10.5 billion Swedish kronor, $947 million, up 47% year-on-year. PC and console games made 4 billion Swedish kronor, $364 million, up 74% year-on-year. Mobile made 1.4 billion Swedish kronor, $127.5 million, down 3% year-on-year. Net profit was 2.59 billion Swedish kronor, $236 million, compared to a net loss of 182 million Swedish kronor, $17 million, last year. Embracer's net sales saw 20% organic growth, which was attributed to Dead Island 2 sales for its PC and console segment. The horror-action title sold 2 million copies within a month of its release. Windforce also took note of Crystal Dynamics, IDOS's performance during the quarter. It is encouraging to see that Crystal Dynamics, IDOS's turnaround to solid profitability is ahead of plan, driven by cost efficiency improvements, a stable back catalog business, and increased external funding for ongoing development, he said. Remnant 2, launched on July 25, was another success for Embracer, as it sold more than 1 million copies within 4 days. Q1 net sales for tabletop games came in at 3.2 billion Swedish kronor, $292 million, up 20%. Meanwhile, entertainment and services saw net sales of 1.8 billion Swedish kronor, $164 million, up 174%. Regarding Embracer's restructuring program, the CEO said that the firm is on pace to hit a financial net debt below 8 billion Swedish kronor, $729 million, by the end of the current financial year. Its net debt as of June 30 was 16.8 billion Swedish kronor, $1.5 billion. A painful consequence of the program is that a number of talented and passionate team members have left us or will be leaving us before the end of the financial year. We understand and respect that this is a challenging time for everyone impacted, said the CEO. The challenging time he's referring to started with a potential $2 billion deal falling apart back in May. The strategic partner that backed out of the deal was revealed to be XVI Games Group. Among the actions taken towards the publisher's restructuring program was the closure of Campfire Cabal. The studio was shut down less than a year after Embracer announced its establishment. Looking ahead, the financial report highlighted the future releases of Payday 3, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, Alone in the Dark, and other titles. Meanwhile, the group reiterated its adjusted earnings before income tax forecast for the fiscal year of between 7 billion Swedish kronor, $638 million, and 9 billion Swedish kronor, $820 million. In the report's conclusion, Windforce said, "We will continue to take important steps in FY 2023-24 to set the direction for the years to come, and I am confident that we will emerge a stronger company." XVI Games Studios, owned by XVI Games Group, has rebranded to Steer Studios. The company's new name was attributed to aligning with its goal of growing its global market presence. The evolution of XVI Games Studios to Steer Studios represents an exciting milestone in its journey. This major step forward will ensure Steer stands as a beacon of innovation, charting new territories within the gaming industry, said XVI Games Group CEO Brian Ward. XVI Games Group also said the studio will help contribute to Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 goals. The developer of the Saints Row franchise is being shut down, as Embracer Group has gone ahead with the decision to close Volition as part of its restructuring program. After announcing that the original game and Saints Row 2 would not be getting remakes or remasters, fans of the franchise were worried about Volition's immediate future, and it would seem that those fears were well-founded. Though the new Saints Row reboot had a DLC roadmap up until August 2023, its underperforming launch likely played a major role in Embracer Group's decision, and the franchise has been indefinitely shelved as a result. Volition had previously struggled with sales on Agents of Mayhem. The subsequent issues it had with developing the Saints Row reboot only to be met with middling reviews, as well as estrangement from the franchise's core audience, did little to recoup the game's ambitious budget. While fans saw the writing on the wall that the Saints Row franchise was in jeopardy, the announcement that Volition is closing has been shocking nonetheless. The announcement was made on LinkedIn, with Volition stating that it was proud of the work its team has done over the past 3 decades. Volition thanked fans for their many years of support, and announced that it would help its former developers transition into new employment opportunities elsewhere. Though Embracer's decision is effective immediately, the restructuring program of its studios has been internally known since June, which hopefully gave Volition's employees enough time to prepare. Embracer Group previously shut down a studio less than a year old, most likely as part of the same restructuring program. Though Saints Row is undoubtedly a big casualty, Embracer obtained the rights to Lord of the Rings in its latest acquisition spree, as its decentralized network of IPs continues to grow. Volition may have closed its doors forever, but ownership of the Saints Row franchise still belongs to the Embracer Group, and the Swedish video game company may decide to revisit it in the future. With Volition closing, any hopes of releasing the long-anticipated patch to the PC version of Saints Row 2 have also died. Considered by many to be the best game in the Saints Row franchise, its release on PC was marred by crippling performance issues that were never quite fixed. It's never easy to witness the death of a once-beloved studio, and chances are that Embracer Group may still have more difficult announcements ahead. But Volition's accomplishments with the Saints Row franchise will forever stand as a testament to its creativity and unique style, but the reboot killed it. In the wake of its closure, Volition released a letter to the community. In its 30 years as a game development studio, Volition developed 18 titles, which include many successful games like Descent, Red Faction, Free Space, The Punisher, and Saints Row. Volition began its operations in 1993 as Parallax Software Corporation, formed by Mike Koulis and Matt Toshlag. After developing hits like Descent and Descent 2, the two decided to part ways, with Mike Koulis retaining Parallax and renaming it to Volition. In August 2000, THQ acquired the studio, and this led to the creation of the Red Faction and Saints Row franchises. Following THQ's bankruptcy filing in 2012, Koch Media bought Volition, where it became part of the Deep Silver division. In 2018, Koch Media was acquired by THQ Nordic, along with several other game development companies that became a separate entity called THQ Nordic AB. This entity got rebranded to Embracer Group to avoid confusion with THQ Nordic GmbH. In November 2022, Embracer Group moved Volition to Gearbox Software, a video game publisher best known for the Borderlands franchise. Less than a year later, Embracer Group shut down Volition as part of its restructuring program, which aims to strengthen the media holding company's position in the gaming industry. Saints Row developer took to Twitter, sharing a long, heartfelt farewell letter in an image that also contains the company logo. The letter started by reflecting upon the studio's 30-year-long history while also stating how some games become bigger than the people or company that made them. In the letter, Volition also acknowledged the input and hard work of the people who were with the studio in the past 30 years. It attributed the success of its games to the team of artists, creators, designers, and storytellers who helped the studio come up with new and amazing concepts. The team has been responsible for various commercial hits, from Red Faction Guerrilla to Saints Row III, which has sold more than 5 million copies worldwide. Toward the end of the letter, Volition extended its gratitude to the gaming community. It also thanked the gamers for their valuable feedback and insight, even when they were unhappy with certain titles, especially the poorly received Saints Row reboot. As Volition closes its doors, many fans would fondly remember all the successful titles the studio has rolled out in the past 3 decades. One of the many video game companies owned by Embracer Group may be tasked with reimagining the fan-favorite Saints Row franchise, or the Swedish media house may shelve it forever. Reportedly, Embracer layoffs also affect Gearbox Publishing. Reports of redundancies at the publisher emerged on LinkedIn, but it's unclear how many people are impacted. The Saints Row series was first created by Volition way back in 2006, as the studio wanted to give players a sandbox filled with exciting content for them to play with. The first game mostly delivered on that premise and would go on to be a major hit that was often compared to Grand Theft Auto. It would kick off a massive franchise of games that seemed to be unstoppable. However, things quickly changed as Volition started trying to reinvent the entire concept. Saints Row III would serve as a massive departure from the tone and style of the original two games, as it would go for a wackier cartoonish feeling rather than the more grounded nature of its predecessors. While some players would have liked the franchise to return to the tone of Saints Row 2, the franchise took this concept further instead. After Saints Row 4 involved an alien invasion, Saints Row: Get Out of Hell brought the franchise to hell itself. This made the franchise virtually unrecognizable from the first two games, but Volition was hoping to bring it back to basics with a reboot. However, fans instantly seemed to hate the entire idea of the reboot. Many players wanted to hang out with the likes of Pierce and Shaundi instead of this new cast of characters, while those who did enjoy the zanier take didn't really get that itch scratched either. Upon release, the game suffered from numerous technical difficulties that made it almost unplayable for many, which led to a very disappointing game that failed both critically and commercially. It was the perfect storm of mistakes, shortcomings, and disconnections, but it was Saints Row and many look forward, instead, to what Volition would do next. While the Saints Row series may have been popular once, Volition was unable to reinvent it for modern consoles, resulting in the closure of the studio as part of the Embracer Group's restructuring plans. Not much is known about the fate of the Saints Row IP in all of this, nor have there been any announcements about future adventures in the reboot timeline after Saints Row's DLC roadmap ends. There is a strong chance that the franchise is put on hiatus for the time being until the Embracer Group figures out what to do with it, which would be in line with the rumors that have been circulating for a while. On the day of Volition's heartbreaking closure announcement, publisher Deep Silver took to Twitter to solemnly thank the developers at Volition who are unfortunately being let go. In the tweet, Deep Silver brought up the studio's past work on the beloved Red Faction and Saints Row franchises and added that both of them will live on at Playin, the parent company of Deep Silver. It makes perfect sense that the IPs of a shuttered studio would remain with the parent company. Though, the question remains which studio at Playin is most suitable to become Saints Row's new lead developer. Flying Wild Hog has just come off an incredibly busy 2022 shipping 4 games in Shadow Warrior 3, Evil West, Trek to Yomi, and Space Punks. It's a studio which primarily specializes in its first-person Shadow Warrior series, but its recent work on Evil West indicates a proficiency with third-person shooter gameplay, which Saints Row requires. Within Deep Silver exists Dambuster Studios, which has just released its successful and long-awaited Dead Island 2 earlier this year. Fish Labs could be another candidate within Deep Silver, as it's assisted on past Saints Row titles and isn't tied to a highly demanded franchise of its own. With all that said, Embracer Group's restructuring and Playin's dissolution of Deep Silver is ongoing and may very well result in more potential studio closures. While it's good to hear Red Faction and Saints Row could still live on, the fate of both franchises is still very much up in the air. If Saints Row does continue with another installment, it'll be interesting to see if it'll pick up after the 2022 reboot or if fans will see the return of franchise icon Johnny Gat and company. Whichever the case, it'll surely be a while before anything concrete is confirmed. Whoever gets the chance to craft a new Saints Row experience will have a lot to prove. The studio not only has to show fans that it is capable of replicating Volition's style, but it also must make them care about the IP again. This next Saints Row game must come out of the gate swinging by delivering fans a massive hilarious sandbox to explore, and if nothing else, the Saints deserve another shot. And that's all for the video guys. Like and share the video for a greater audience. Comment your thoughts on the topics and donations are always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, and until then from SMPV, it's goodbye.